Before I begin, I have to apologise for the delay between this and my last review for Battleground. This is because for Christmas, I got the gift of a virus. And up to a few days ago, I sounded like this.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Normal service, if you can ever call it normal, will now be resumed.
And the Oscar goes to...
And the BAFTA goes to...
Well, it's that time of the year again. Award season, where studios release what they consider their most worthy and important pictures. However, those worthy and important pictures are often not their best. And in the hunt for awards glory, one of the staples for the studios since the birth of sound has been the musical biopic.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
No matter how inaccurate the story may truly be, with even retellings determined to correct the story falling into the same traps. Into this year's fray enters James Mangold's latest work, A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet. Is A Complete Unknown another typical over-bloated piece of award season fodder? Or is it a brilliant telling of a key moment in the cultural history of American music? So, what did I think? A Complete Unknown tells the story of Bob Dylan, played by Timothée Chalamet, from 1961 when he arrived in New York as a struggling folk singer, and the controversial moment he went electric at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. Now, when I heard that James Mangold's latest project would be the story of the rise of Bob Dylan, I have to admit I was interested. After all, this was James Mangold, who has worked in almost every genre, with films as varied as Identity, Logan, 3:10 to Yuma, and of course, perhaps, the most critically successful musical biopic of the past 20 years, Walk the Line. Granted, he also directed the badly misjudged box office flop Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, but no director can get it right every time. Just look at Spielberg and his own attempt at an award season musical with the ill-judged remake of West Side Story. What I wasn't expecting was a film so flimsy and so pretentious in its use of cinematic tropes and cliché that it makes the 2007 John C. Reilly parody Walk Hard look like a hard-hitting realistic portrayal of the music industry.
Stuffed cabbage is the darling of the laundromat. The mouse with the overbite explained how the rabbit...
What the hell is this song about?
I have no idea.
You guys are idiots. This song is very deep.
Now, before I go further into the problems, I have to say that this is a beautiful-looking film thanks to Greek cinematographer Fedon Papamichael. Apologies if I have mangled the pronunciation. While Mangold expertly directs a cast who I believe from Chalamet down failed to give a single weak performance. Edward Norton in particular is in fine form as the pinch-faced Pete Seeger, always pleasant with a simple, folksy knowledge and attitude to people and their true nature, with an optimism that borders on the naive. And Mangold does produce moments that have a power on screen, such as when Seeger leads an audience in a sing-along of The Lion Sleeps Tonight, the introduction of Monica Barbaro's Joan Baez, while Chalamet captures the effect that Dylan and his music had on audiences from the earliest days. But performances and moments are not enough, as the screenplay, co-written by Mangold and Jay Cox, falls back on well-worn cliché and movie tropes to the point it becomes a parody of the very film it is trying to be. And Mangold cannot seem to see that. Dylan's arrival in 1961 New York is so filled with film stereotypes that at points, as he walks the streets, you find yourself asking, am I watching a film about Bob Dylan or Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me? Characters who constantly are referred to by their full names on screen just so the audience know who they are, and loudly proclaim Dylan's genius in a way no one in reality ever would. While the Cliff Notes versions of historical events, such as the Cuban Missile Crisis, play out in the background. All the while, Dylan writes out another classic on the back of a paper napkin, inspired by a single line uttered out of context, a lazy repeat of a trick Mangold has pulled before.
What was I thinking? I must have been crazy. Y'all gonna blow this tour. You can't walk no line.
We even get to see Dylan being chased down the street by eager fans in the style of the Beatles in A Hard Day's Night. But all of this might be forgivable if the finished product, and this really does feel like product, wasn't so hollow and empty. In a story about a man who is a master of words, this film has very little to say. Instead of learning what drove Dylan, of seeing the evolution of his character as we did in Walk the Line, where we saw Johnny Cash grow and learn from the turbulence of his life, Chalamet's Dylan remains an enigma, a Sphinx-like character. He has no real backstory. Even the fact Dylan's real last name is Zimmerman is glossed over. We never learn what drove him to change his name or what drove him to folk music. Chalamet's Dylan just is. Why is he so driven, so distracted by the ambition to create? As the film jumps from year to year, we never really see him evolve. Even the reasons Dylan changed his style to go electric is never truly explored, to the point he's nothing more than a cardboard cutout of a character. Mangold has mistakenly assumed the cliché of the tortured artist, just like so many of the other clichés in this film, makes up for the lack of any real substance and little to no real characterization, leaving us, the audience at the end of this film, knowing as much about the real Bob Dylan as we did at the start, a complete unknown.
Order. Order! Order! Knock it off!
By the time we reach the finale at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival, you realise this is a film with very little to say that's new about a group of people that the filmmakers find far more interesting than the audience will. Now, that doesn't mean it's a badly made film, because it's not. And if you are a fan of the music of Dylan and that era, you might enjoy it. But for me, this is a cookie-cutter movie with a predictable screenplay that has nothing new to say. In fact, you may come out of it with more than a sneaking suspicion you've seen this movie more than once before. A Complete Unknown opens in cinemas in Ireland and Great Britain January 17th. I won't say don't go, but it's a film that can definitely wait until home release. A deeply average meh.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
And if you like this episode of So What Did I Think and want to see more, please remember to click like and subscribe. Always subscribe. Thanks for watching.